Daniel's away from home. He's away from family, friends, the culture that he's known. It's a new language. It's new religion, new gods, new customs, new holidays. He's very tempted. The king assigned them, Daniel 1, 5 through 7. The king assigned them a daily portion of food that who ate? The king ate. Okay, you've just walked 700 miles. You're a prisoner of war. You're like, you guys have anything to eat? Yeah, you can go to the king's house and open his fridge. Wow, that's awesome. This is the best food and the best wine. How much trouble do we get in by eating too much and drinking too much? The temptation is always real. And the wine that the king drank. They were to be educated for 3 years. That's their undergraduate program at the University of Babylon in diversity studies. That's what it says in the Hebrew. I'm just bringing you along for the journey. They were to be educated for 3 years, and at the end of that time, they were to stand before the king. Their whole life was preparing them to stand before the king. Let me tell you this, there's a bigger, better king. Our king is Jesus. One day you will die, you will rise, you will stand before the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Don't worry about your grade point average. Don't worry about your income. Don't worry about your performance review. Worry about standing before that king on the final day of eternal judgment. They are counterfeiting the judgment of Jesus Christ with the judgment of Nebuchadnezzar. It's all demonic. Among those were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. If you've seen the Veggie Tales, it's Rack, Shack, and Benny, okay? Of the tribe of Judah, and the chief of the eunuchs gave them names. Daniel, he called Belteshazzar. Hananiah, he called Shadrach. Mishael, he called Meshach. And Azariah, he called Abednego. You will see in Babylon and in our world 3 kinds of people. These young men are godly. They remain resolutely loyal to the Lord. In this story, there are also those who are ungodly. They worship false gods. They do what they want. They are arrogant and proud, and they tempt God's people to join them. In the middle are those who say they are believers, but live like Babylonians. They are eating the king's food. They are drinking the king's drink. They are serving the king's cause. They are worshiping the king's God, starting with King Jehoiakim. He's an example of this. The point is simply this. You need to determine which category you're in. Godly, ungodly, or confusing. The people in the middle are confusing. We would call them lukewarm, backsliders, cultural Christians, or Americans. That's what we would call that segment. I'm a believer, but I act like a Babylonian. I love Jesus and I live with my girlfriend. Those are 2 different teams. The Spirit of God versus the Spirit of Babylon, and you're not supposed to have a reversible jersey on Team Jesus. You pick your team, you stick with the team that's picked you. That being said, what happens in Babylon, they seek to recast their identity by renaming them. Their parents gave them names showing that they were devoted to the Lord. They show up in Babylon. Babylon wants to rename them. Let me just tell you this. The spirit of Babylon still does this today by name calling. You're bigoted, you're intolerant, you're unloving, you're unkind, you're hypocritical. That's the spirit of Babylon seeking to name you. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here's their Hebrew name versus their Babylonian name. Daniel means God is my judge. Let me tell you that his name is prophetic and it prophesies his life. Nebuchadnezzar can judge him. He doesn't care. Babylon can judge him. He doesn't care. Satan and demons can judge him. He doesn't care. He lives for an audience of one. He knows that one day, Daniel 12:2, those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall arise. That one day he will get out of Babylon, he will get out of his grave, he will stand before the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ will be his judge. And he lives for an audience of one. That is the key to the resolution of Daniel. Belteshazzar, they change his name to Bel or Baal, which is a demon god, protects his life. Hananiah means Yahweh. Jesus Christ is Yahweh God. Means Yahweh is gracious. Shadrach, they change his name to mean the command of Aku, which is another religion, another false counterfeit demonic god. Here's the point. Satan doesn't care which god or goddess you worship as long as it's not Jesus Christ. Narrow is the path to eternal life. Broad is the path to destruction. There are not many truths. There is one truth. There is not many ways. There is one way. Jesus says, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. Satan wants you to believe in some general nebulous God or some false God or chase some cult or some false religion. It's all the spirit of Babylon. Mishael means who is what God is. What it's saying is there's no one like my God. Meshach, they change his name and it means who is what Aku is. No, actually the demon god is more powerful and magnificent than the real God. Azariah means Yahweh is my helper. God helps me. Abednego means servant or slave, devoted to, loyal to Nebo. As you read Daniel, you will see that the Babylonians continually refer to these men by these names, but they only refer to themselves by these names. They never refer to themselves by their Babylonian names. Why? They know who they are. If you are a Christian, you are a child of God. Your eternal destiny is secure. God will never leave you nor forsake you. The heart of God toward you is a father's heart. That you are forgiven, that you are loved, that you are righteous, that you are blessed, that you are destined to be a part of a kingdom that never ends. You need to know who you are, and it doesn't matter what anyone else has to say. The world can change your name, but only God can change your nature. God has changed their nature. The world can change your name, but only God can change your nature. They know who they are. Some years ago, when my wife Grace and I were in really a battle, maybe it was a battle against the spirit of Babylon. Some things were being said that had no truth in them whatsoever, but they were very difficult to hear. One of our pastors, Jimmy Evans, who's one of our overseers, we met with him, he said, it doesn't matter what they put on you, just don't let it in you. Some of you have critics in your life. Some of you have enemies. Some of you have bitter, vengeful, angry people. Some of you have demons that whisper in your ear. And they're going to seek to name you and put an identity on you. Just don't let it in you. Know who you are. You are a child of God. And that ultimately, who or what is against you will be dealt with by your King. And you just remain loyal and steadfast toward him.
Hey, howdy, Pastor Mark here. Thanks for viewing the clip. And if you'd like the entire sermon, we've got it ready to go.